Hi, and welcome back to Fan the Flame Dates. What we'd like to do on this date is to look at ways where we can keep Satan from getting into our marriages because we've been tearing one another down in front of others, and give you 5 settings, 5 places where we need to be careful that we're building up our spouse and not tearing them down.
Recently, Bruce and I heard from 2 wives of couples we love and know very well. One decided to speak highly of her husband, and although she seemed to be struggling, she refused to say anything because she wanted to honor her husband, wanted to keep it to herself, and pray and be thankful for all the ways God has worked in their lives so far. She chose to honor her husband. The other woman was vulnerable in a place of hurt and pain, and out of that pain, she painted a picture of her husband that...
She vented the dirty laundry. She
Right.
really let us know things about him that, quite honestly, we didn't want to know. And it really forced us to think of him in a little different light, which was more negative than it had been in the past.
Hearing those 2 stories helped us to realize that love flows when we decide to honor our husbands.
Or our wives.
Or our wives, absolutely. And I want to ask you a question. Is the picture we painted of our husband or our wife, our beloved, to our parents and our friends and neighbors when we wanted to get married, is that picture the one that they see now? Is that what it looks like?
My hunch is it probably isn't, because now that we've gotten done selling the bill of goods, we begin to tell them the truth, and sometimes we cast that truth in a way that isn't so flattering to our wives or to our husbands.
Right, and I think one of the first ways that we do that is to our parents. One of the ways that we can speak negatively to our husbands is, oh, mom has a good listening ear. I think I'll bounce some things off mom. What happens with that is your parents begin to form negative opinions about your husband and make judgments about your husband. When you have long decided to forgive and forget the situation, they keep it in the back of their mind and hold it against them.
That explains why your mom and dad never let me into the house, right?
Very funny.
Another place where we tend to betray our spouses is in a small group setting, maybe our Bible study or men's group, and we do it under the guise of a prayer request. I really need you to pray for my wife. She's blah, 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 blah. And now everybody in the small group or the men's group knows that, your spouse is not the perfect spouse, and what the flaws are, and the dirty laundry is out. And before long, it goes through the network of the the church, and people are forming bad opinions of our spouses because of what we think we shared in a confidence, but yet, we still didn't do it in a way that was positive in building up of our spouse. It was something that tore him or her down.
You know what, too? Once one person starts to say something negative about what's going on in their relationship, then it kind of mushrooms into, oh yeah, can you top this? So what we need to do in those instances, if we're having some marital issues, if there's things that frustrate us about our husbands or our wives, we need to find someone, a confidant, someone that we can trust, that can kind of mentor us and pray with us through these situations, someone who has an example of a marriage that we would like to emulate. It's really fun getting together with couples and having fun together, but the fun begins to diminish when tension arises between the couples. And then there's these subtle jabs that they weren't willing to say in private, but they're going to make a joke in public and kind of degrade their husband or their wife. That sucks the life out of your husband or your wife, your beloved. So I'm thinking, I know I want to give life instead of suck the life out of my husband. So the things that I say in public, I want to build up. I want to build up my husband rather than tear him down.
I know I'm guilty a lot of times because humor is one of my ways of diverting stress and tension. And I can often give Karen a subtle jab in terms of humor. Usually I mean it as a way of getting a laugh, but sometimes she's always looking for the hidden truth that she thinks I've planted inside that little left jab that's called a joke. And I have to be careful because it can be a very negative thing in her life, and she's not laughing at what everybody else is.
Okay, you know that that is part of his DNA when people come up to me with bags of chocolate because they feel sorry for me for the things that he said or the jokes that he said.
So far, we've talked about the fact we want to build our spouse up in front of our parents in our small group Bible study setting, men's group, women's group setting. We want to build them up in front of our friends because that's important for us to keep speaking life into our spouse in front of others. And the fourth place that we want to be careful of how we talk about our spouse is
social media.
Social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Flattering pictures of me, honey, you know.
Right. Fun pictures of the family are great, and anything positive you're going to say about your husband or your wife are the only things that are acceptable on social media. People that know and love us would see that, and people that don't even know us will make judgments about us and that are erroneous in many senses, because oftentimes we say things out of our hurt and pain that we have for that one day. We move on, but they hold that against them.
Yeah, that's the thing to remember about social media is you can't retract it. Somebody's going to see it. Somebody's going to be impacted by it positively or negatively, and it's just going to be part of that scroll of the internet that never, ever, ever goes away.
This goes without saying, but we need to say it because it's the easiest place for us to tear our husbands or our wives down, and that's in the family. We want our children to know that we love each other. We want them to know that we love the Lord Jesus, and because of that, we're going to say things that build our husbands up or build our wives up and speak highly of them to our children.
Yet our kids know that we're not perfect. They live with us. So
absolutely.
They see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
They also see, I'm so sorry I did that. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the right thing to say. So what we have to do is we have to create an atmosphere of love and respect for each other, but still know that we're human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't say things that are going to cause our children to take sides. You know, I would do this, but your mother won't, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Or if your father wasn't such a, we could do whatever the case might be.
Our genuine love for each other helps us see that Jesus Christ has made a difference in our life. What that does is it leaves a legacy not only for our children, but our grandchildren, and for those in our sphere of influence to see and be impacted by that.
Learning to talk about our marriage in the right context is going to preserve the integrity of our relationship. It's also going to communicate to our spouse that he or she is a treasure of our life. And that's so important that we be speaking life into one another as husband and wife. Speaking positively about your husband and wife in public also breeds a sense of trust and safety. And those are two vital ingredients to build any intimate marriage. So, what are some ways that you can think and evaluate how well you're speaking about your spouse in public? Take some time now to pause the video, look at the knee-to-knee, nose-to-nose questions. We've asked them to get you talking about this subject, and we'll see you next time on FanTheFlameDates.com.